Hello and welcome to the next video about economics versus the environment. And we're still looking at areas of conflict, and the next one is political and economic ideas. The core of the conflict is about the role of government in economics and in society generally. As we have seen in previous courses, there is a range of views about how much government should be involved, as shown below. So on the left we have communism, and on the right we have capitalism. And if you look at the blue line at the bottom, you can see in the middle the mixed economies. So the communists think 100% government involvement in everything, and the capitalists think minimum government involvement in anything. And the mixed economies are in the middle. So I put on the line here on the left, North Korea as the most communist country in the world. China is close to that end. And at the other end, we have the USA. Most of the European countries are in the middle with the mixed economies. Also, in terms of colors, red is usually associated with the left, particularly with communists, who are sometimes called reds, and blue is associated with the right. I have to say that in America, this is opposite. Reds are Republicans and blues are Democrats. So this is a subjective diagram. It's not based on any formal measurement where I put the different countries. And it also looks at economic issues, not at social objectives. So communist countries like China, North Korea, Vietnam, and Cuba show very heavy government involvement in ownership of resources and businesses and government planning. And this is a strongly held attitude based on principles. Government regulation is very strong. Mixed economies, like many European ones, show low levels of government ownership of resources, but moderate levels of participation in industries. Their attitude is not based on principles, but on what is the best method to reach the objective in the current situation. That approach is called pragmatism. They often do not control an industry. For example, the government might own one out of four major banks. Often, they do not control a company 100%. They may have a less than 50% share, but they are able to act as a significant influencer for the whole industry. They might have government planning at an industry level, which is sometimes quite strong, as in Singapore. Government regulation is also significant and is usually honestly administered. No corruption. In strongly capitalist economies like the USA, government involvement is minimalized, made as small as possible. And again, this is a strongly held attitude based on principles. Government regulation is minimized as small as possible and is often viewed as conflicting with economic growth. Functions that almost all other countries see as government functions, for example, administration of prisons and some military support functions, are operated as privately owned businesses. Administration of regulation is colored by suspicions that big business creates a favorable position for itself by promising government administrators well-paid jobs in their industry in the future. So it should be noted that these comments are about the federal government, that's for the whole country, and state governments, just for one state of America, can be significantly different in their approach. Another thing that's happened is since about 1980, almost all countries, wherever they are on that line that I drew, have moved to the right towards less government involvement and regulation. So it's happened in China, it's happened in the USA, it's happened in the UK, and so on. So what has all this got to do with the environment? In general, communist and mixed economy governments see the bigger environmental issues like global warming as things they cannot solve on their own. They think governments have to take the lead, Private businesses will not take the lead, and they may even try to slow change, especially if they're making good profits out of the present situation. They also think the way to solve problems like global warming that are too big for one country alone is by discussions between countries at a government to government level. And this is the approach of the Paris Agreement on climate change, which we'll see in a later video. Many people in the USA do not agree with this thinking. The key argument against it is the level of government regulation that it will take. They are against this as a principle. Big businesses have for a long time been trying to convince people that the science behind global warming is not 100% sure. This is a delaying strategy. They see the global warming debate as a secret way to move the USA to the left on the spectrum and increase the amount of government involvement in industry, planning, and regulation. They say the environmentalist reasoning looks like this. Their aim is to stop global warming, and the method is governments will agree what is needed and will make regulations to make their citizens and businesses follow them. That's what they say the situation looks like. But they believe that the truth is, once you've uncovered the secret, it's more like this one. The aim is to move the USA to the left on the spectrum, more government control and regulation. The method is to convince the US government that global warming is real, even if it isn't. And their idea is the US government will take control of and make regulations for businesses and citizens because of environmental issues. So what is coming next is a screenshot of a Fox News, which is a US daily current affairs program on TV. And this is quoted from the movie Catching the Sun. The words are the exact words from the show, except for the part in brackets. So on the left is the show presenter. On the right is the director of policy for Americans for Prosperity, which is an organization started and financed by some of the richest people in America, with most of their wealth coming from the fossil fuel industries. So they are not unbiased. So the presenter is saying, I think this is a watermelon bill. And the guy on the right from the organization is saying, I think you're exactly right. This proposed law is green on the outside, but inside it's deep communist red. In summary, they don't see the global warming issue as a conflict between economics and the environment. They see it as a strategy in the debate about where on the political spectrum the USA should be. So what is the environmentalists' reaction to this argument? So, first argument, they are trying to prove beyond any doubt that global warming is real. There have been many reports recently by scientific groups and combinations of scientific groups and the United Nations stating that global warming is a real problem without any doubt. Second argument, they point to effects of global warming that you don't have to be a scientist to see, like the very high level of natural disasters, the polar ice melting, heat waves, and unusual climate events such as changes in the timing of seasons, like the rainy season starts earlier or continues longer. They are pushing for the US government to be more environmental friendly. But they believe with Donald Trump as president, things will get worse for the environment. They think time is running out to fix the problem. And this is potentially an explosive situation. This waiting game may have been okay 10 or 15 years ago, but the environmentalists believe we need immediate action to stop disasters bigger than we can imagine. And this is the end, my friend. See you next time.